Welcome everyone to Beat the Game. This is Steve, and today we're going to have some fun with Mr. Venom. So I was going around, it's been a couple days, so I was thinking of, when I did my first original video, I was like, I don't know what I want to do with Venom that much, and I was kind of like in a weird place, and I'm like, what is fun with this guy? And then so I started looking at the cards, looking at what kind of interactions could be interesting, what kind of new cards that were brought into the pool that would be like, oh man, okay, so Flash Thompson, this is a definite must for this guy. So all right, so let's take a look-sees of what we found. So obviously his kit is pretty solid. It's got pretty much everything you need to stun the villain, confuse the villain, and all of that. So what do we do from there? So where do we go from there? All right, so if we go to aggression. All right, so let's start off with some aggression tactics. All right, so what do I want to do in aggression with this guy? Well, I want to utilize his weapons in a very unique fashion. So I call this deck the Godslayer deck. So basically the combo is with Godslayer and the run and guns, which will actually let you hold more weapons. And did I forget to put it in? I did forget to put it in. Oh no, I forgot my side holster for the deck. There you go. I was like, oh, what am I forgetting? There it is. All right, so this is a 41 card deck utilizing all of Venom's weapons and the Godslayer. So obviously you'll need the side holster for that. We do want to play a couple of things that will also go well with that, which is the Mean Swings. So we got 3 copies of Mean Swings in there that are going to really help use those weapons in a very violent way. So we're going to try to do that with those. We also added a pulse grenade as a 5th weapon, but that one is not restricted, so that is really solid. So now we have 5 weapons once all of Venom stuff is out, so we can play a lot of stuff like that. And then we're going to try to use all the rest of the good stuff. So basically what it is once you have run and gun, the Godslayer, you have and your 2 Venom's guns, and the multi-gun, you have a total of 9 possible damage. And if you play run and gun, that makes you 18 damage with Venom in aggression. All right, so now if you add to that the Mean Swings, you can get up to 21 damage. That's pretty solid. 21 damage in a turn with just basic attacks. It's pretty well with the Mean Swings. All right, so let's look at other stuff that's going to complement this deck. All right. So we're going to put these up there. The side holster to play for this. And then we got the Mean Swings. So the Godslayer and all of that. And again, the Mean Swings is mostly to play either our gun or with the pulse grenades. We can just exhaust those pulse grenades and play those. Now again, to have fun with those, I wanted to deck thin a little bit of the deck. So there's not that much deck thinning in. But there is a combat training. There is a Battle Fury, there is a counterattack, and we do have a Hall of Heroes. So if we do need to, kill some minions, we can at least ready up, get back in, and just have some fun with that. I see some guys, if you're in the chat, you can say hello. Always interesting to see what you guys think about these types of decks. Then after that, we do have the Martial Prowess as another upgrade that we want to run in to help pay for some of our attack events. So obviously we're going aggression, so we want to be able to play a lot of aggression things. So some of the things that we're also going to focus on are the physical and mental resources. So we have 2 surprise attacks. The 2 surprise attacks are obviously because we can flip down with Venom a lot, because we have the ability, the grasping tendrils or the behind enemy lines, we can confuse him a lot. So we'll be able to go down. So a couple of surprise attacks, it's easy damage, and what's great about it is you can actually pay for that and always generate that physical with your innate ability, which is the symbiotic bond, which is super solid. We're also going to take advantage in another way of our weapons with the fusillades. So if ever we don't have the mean swings, we can always, use a fusillade to, exhaust one of our weapons and deal another 5 damage. So I thought it was pretty cool, like really utilizing Venom's weapons in more than one way. Not just, just tap to attack, but, if you exhaust one of Venom, and this is basically for Venom's pistols, So yeah, you get a +1 attack, or you can get a +3 attack. So this is where the variety and where it makes a lot of sense. And once you have that pulse grenade on, well, you can also get the bonus of that, plus you can get the bonus for the fusillade, or you can get the bonus off mean swing and bring your damage output even higher. And then finally, just to add a couple of stuns and a little bit of card draw, we do have the drop kick that's very solid as well. That's going to give you some damage. And also, now one interesting card that I didn't actually put in, which would make perfect sense in his deck, and it's very easy to take advantage, is Press the Advantage. It's that one cost, and that's definitely a card that you can add if ever you don't want to add the drop kicks to that, or you want to lower your cost curve. You can definitely add the Press the Advantages, because you are 99% always going to be drawing extra cards from that, because he's always going to be either stunned or confused. So that is going to be a very solid way to play for those. And aside from that, just to make sure that we get our attack events as much as we can, we did add 2 plans of attacks. Now again, these are very easy, interchangeable. You can change these up. You can make them into something else if you'd rather have more attack events. Again, you can replace those with the I just said the Press the Advantages, the 2 copies of that, or you can just just keep them like that, and then always have another weapon to search. It's a search engine to find some of your attack events, which is pretty good. And again, most of the deck is focused around physical and mental. And then aside from that, since we are going to be able to flip down, we might be taking some damage at some point. I do like that crew quarters. So with the Venom's Rebirth, Project Rebirth, and the crew quarters, we can actually have a heal of 4 without actually having to recover. So that, I think it makes pretty sense. If you're playing aggression, when you do go down, you don't want to waste too much time recovering and using your basic recovery. So being able to use Project Rebirth, and that is going to make a lot of sense. I did add a couple of Assess the Situations just to increase my hand size as well. Again, these cards, if you don't like them, you do not have to play those. Assess the Situation can, again, it's another card that could be replaced. If you don't want to get rid of the plan of attacks, you can definitely get rid of those Assess the Situations for those Press the Advantages and give you even more attack events to be able to look for. So that's about it. And then as far as resources go, we have 1 Power of Aggression. As you can see, most of our cards are very low cost. So 1 Power of Aggression is more than enough. And then obviously the 3 double resources. So these are cards that you can switch up, you can keep, you can play around, whatever you feel, whatever you like. Again, how you feel like playing. This is something that I felt a little interesting, giving, especially in solo or even in multiplayer. I think this deck is going to be pretty solid. I didn't have a chance to play test it yet, but just looking at the card pool and how they would interact with Venom, obviously depending on what scenario you're playing, adjust it a little bit. But this is pretty solid. I think if I'm going to run this, I'm definitely going to try to run this against the Collector or something like that, just to be able to really hammer in the damage really strongly. All right, so again, looking at the cards, super simple. We got Combat Training, we got a Battle Fury, Counterattack, Hall of Heroes, Martial Prowess. Again, if there's cards you don't like, you can always interchange these. We have the Godslayer as our 4th weapon, and the Pulse Grenade as our 5th weapon. We do need the side holster for that. We have 3 copies of Mean Swing, 2 copies of Surprise Attack, 2 copies of Fusillade, 2 copies of Dropkick, 2 copies of Plan of Attack, Crew Quarters, Assess the Situations ×2, 1 Power of Aggression, and 3 double resources. And that, my friends, is an aggression deck that is going to really kick some butt. It's going to utilize Venom's abilities. and to whatever you need. So again, this is my take on what an aggression deck with Venom could feel interesting and new. All right, so I'm going to put this away, and then let's talk about protection with Venom. Now, protection with Venom is still pretty interesting because you kind of want to take advantage of some of the cards that are, that can interact in the villain's turn. Now, there's a couple of cards called First Hit and stuff like that. But I think with Venom, being able to use your guns to increase your defense, I think a super fit deck, where a fighting fit deck is where it would make the most sense. So I don't know if you notice, I have a tendency of not playing a lot of allies. Obviously, you could definitely switch that up if you want to have more allies. My aggression deck has no allies, no friends whatsoever. So it's Venom on its own. And I think I've been enjoying that, like really not relying on allies too much. And for this deck, we have only one ally that we want to, showcase, because I think in this deck she would do really, really well. It is Martyr. So Martyr is that 4-cost ally in green, 1 toward 2 attack, and then after she takes consequence damage and defeats a minion, she gets a tough status card. So what I like about this is it can really, really have fun, because once you have that multi-gun, you can bring down those minions, and then she can finish them off. And just to keep her alive, I'm just putting 1 first aid in the deck, so I'll be able to rotate that. So basically what you want to do with Martyr is you kill a minion on the first turn, and then have her block the attack, because Flash Thompson, once you have your Spider Sense, will still be able to trigger that card draw, and then you block with Martyr, and then the boss, just goes into that. Then if he attacks again, you can, use your grasping tendrils to cancel that attack or stuff like that. Next thing. So once after that it's done, okay, so she defended, then the next turn, then you can kill a minion again and rinse and repeat, be tough. So you have like a consistent blocker, and with the first aid, you can always heal her back up. All right, aside from that, so we're going to be going the perfect defense route here. It's just so easy with Venom to do. So again, we're going to be going for perfect defense. So Nerves of Steel, 3 times, hard to ignore. Electrostatic Armor, Dauntless, Armored Vest, and Unflappable. Again, super easy to deck thin with Flash Thompson. Very, very cool. Very easy to do. Everything costs 1. Put those things down. Again, there is not a lot of weapons in this deck. So the first time you're going to go through his deck, it might go really, really fast. Especially if you've seen all 3 of your guns in your opening hand, you will be getting an encounter card and milling your deck completely. Again, there's only the 3 Flash Thompson's guns in there. So that is the obviously the protection build that's standard. After that, what are we doing again? So we are going to be emphasizing on damage and on getting ready. So we're going to be putting 3 fighting fits, because we should always be at full strength. And if ever we are not at full strength, we always have the endurance, and we also added the crew quarters. I really like this crew quarters. Again, so we can always go down, recover, because we can confuse the villain. This makes this a lot easier. So the crew quarters and the endurance is going to always make sure that we are fighting fit. And again, with Martyr and with hard to ignore, electrostatic vest and everything, definitely going to make this easy for us to stay healthy. So we are also adding a couple of 3 copies of Preemptive Strike. So again, we're going to be able to deal some damage when the villain attacks us by canceling boost icons. And we have also 3 copies of Desperate Defense, so we'll be able to ready and defend on multiple occasions. Finally, we have a Night Nurse. If ever we get stunned or confused, we at least have some way to get rid of it. And then finally, the 3 double resources. Again, this is very cheap. We're not even running 2 powers of. There's no point, because we're only running 5 cards that have a 2 cost in green. And again, once we put most of our stuff down, we'll be able to manage threat easily. We'll be able to take damage, deal damage, and have some fun. Now, you're probably running, Steve, why aren't you running energy barriers? Well, the reason why is because if I ever want to use Venom's ability with the symbiotic bond here, trying to prevent the damage, it won't work. So remember, you have to take the damage to be able to generate that resource. So that is why I did not put the electrostatic armors in there. If you want to replace it, some people would play, what's it called? The momentum shifts. That's another, you could always replace that with something else. If you want to make sure that he's stunned, you could, instead of running the desperate defense or the preemptive strikes, you could replace it with the never back downs. That's going to stun the villain every turn. Because again, with your 2 guns, you can go up to 4 defense, 5 defense with the electrostatic armor. 5 defense with the armored vest, and then the rest is just like you can definitely take hits even from Ronin, because Ronin at 7 with a 7 damage attack, because Ronin does attack you for 7, 8, 9 sometimes. So this is something that you can definitely have a perfect defense and work really, really well. So this is it. Okay, so let's look at the deck again. So 1 ally, which is Martyr and First Aid to heal Martyr up once in a while. We got the Endurance and Crew Quarters to make sure we can trigger our fighting fits. The slew of upgrades is the Nerves of Steel, 3 times hard to ignore, Electrostatic Armor, Dauntless, Armored Vest, and Unflappable. And then our events are the 3 fighting fits, 3 preemptive strikes, again replaceable with whatever you want, 3 desperate defenses, Night Nurse to just make sure that we're safe, and the 3 double resource. Another deck that is very versatile for either multiplayer or solo play. I think you won't have any trouble here. You'll be able to you'll have some good damage output, and you'll have some good thwarting, and you'll be able to control the main scheme. You'll be able to control some side schemes and everything else. So this is a very good, solid multiplayer deck as well as a solo deck. So it's very versatile in the way it's going to be playing. All right, so that is for the protection build. Now let's take a look at what we can do in Justice. Now obviously Justice is a very, very strong point for him. For me, Justice is it's always interesting, but it's never like the most interesting. Justice does what Justice does. So again, for Justice, we're going to be running. There's always these key cards that you want to run in Justice, kind of like the same thing that you want to run, in Leadership or in Protection. So depending on the strategy you're building. So obviously the Skilled Investigator, the Interrogation Room. Under Surveillance, that is definitely a replaceable card. So if you don't like the Under Surveillance, you can always get that back or replace it with something else. Counterintelligence, Heroic Intuition, and the Sense of Justice. So that Sense of Justice is always going to be very helpful to pay for those behind enemy lines, which is going to be very, very good. Now if we take a look-see at what we want to do with this deck, well, definitely Venom has ways to deal with threat en masse. All right, so we got 2 pivotal moments. So we want more damage output, and coming from Justice, we will find it with these pivotal moments. All we have to do is make sure that there is no threat on that main scheme, and then we are solid. All right, it's going to be a little bit harder with the some of the the Galaxies campaign, because there is more. It always starts with threat, but against pretty much anything else, you should be good to actually deal those damages right from the get-go. All right, and then as well as that, for damage output, we are going to be running 2 Turn the Tides to be able to deal some damage when we remove all the threat. Now, as far as threat removal goes, okay, so we have 2 Clear the Areas, which is definitely replaceable. Replace these with Sense of Justice, or what was it called? For Justice, if you're going to be running in multiplayer. So these are replaceable for multiplayer very easily. Just get rid of them and replace them with For Justice instead of Clear the Area. We are running 2 Making an Entrance, because again, we get to heal, and then we get a +2 to our thwart, which is super solid, which will help us trigger these Turn the Tides, which will help us trigger our pivotal moments. So this is very, very good. Aside from that, and we have 2 lay down the laws, because again, the fact that we can, confuse the villain, we can flip down to alter ego once in a while, and then just, have that to just go back and be safe. All right. And to make sure that we're safe, we're running also 2 think fasts, take a damage. Again, with Project Rebirth and with Venom, this is just a super easy auto include, making sure that villain's confused when we go down to alter ego. For this one, we did add 2 allies though, because again, I think we're going to be flopping a lot in alter ego. We are running Quake, just because if there is minions, we can actually take them out with the Quake very easily. That 2 damage is just easy, and then with our multi-gun, we can finish him off. And then we're running also Jack Flag, because Jack Flag has this great ability to deal some damage after he thwarts. So again, we're going to try to abuse that as much as possible. The first aid, again, is to help Jack Flag stay in the game longer. Giving him a couple more activations is pretty good. And then again, once we start going through our deck pretty fast with Venom, this is going to make this very, very simple. We're running only 1 Power of Justice and the 3 double resources. Again, our deck does not cost a lot of money. The fact that Venom can generate a resource, we don't really need to put too many double resources in our decks. Again, everything mostly costs 1. And the fact that he generates a resource makes that so much more simple. So there you go. So this is another well-rounded Justice deck. Is it going to be good in a 4-player deck? Obviously, if you're running Justice in a 4-player deck, I wouldn't recommend Venom. If you're playing a 2-player game, then definitely this is going to be super solid. If you're playing a 3-player game and you want to try something, I would definitely get rid of the damage cards and add more thwart events. And that's just basic logic. Once you're playing in a 2-3 player game, if you are the Justice player, make sure that you are taking Justice and you're doing what you are focusing on Justice, because Venom has the cards to do other things, so his kit can handle extra damage and do some stuff like that. But in a solo game, this is perfect because you have a good mix of damage cards plus thwart cards, which rounds up the deck completely. All right, and then let's look at the final deck that we built. We are building Leadership was the one that was concerning me the most. I was like, what can you do in Leadership with this clown? So Venom Leadership, I really wanted to take advantage of the Welcome Aboard card. And I was arguing with Brant from the portal saying that this card is not the best, it's just an okay card. But then I was thinking, oh, what can I do with this card? I'm like, all right, so the deck is going to focus on the 2-cost allies. Now, we have a slew of 2-cost allies. We got Star-Lord, we got Cosmo, we got Ironheart, we got Squirrel Girl, we got Maria Hill, we got Wonder Bra, and we got Hawkeye. So we have 2, 4, 6, 7 allies that cost 2. All right. Now there's 2 allies we're going to be focusing on. So we're gonna be focusing on Star-Lord, and Star-Lord is gonna want to stay into play. No, I'm not. And the second one, we're gonna talk about Yondu, and he's gonna be the only 4-cost ally that we are gonna. All right, he's gonna be the only 4-cost ally that we are gonna run. So basically, this is gonna be these 2-cost allies. So for 1 card, we get to play a card for free. And that's how we want to. That's how we really want to roll with this. So this is going to be very, very fun. It's again with all these 2-cost allies, playing them for free with the Welcome Aboards is very good. To make sure that we always have allies to play, we are also running 2 regroups. So the regroups, you play the regroup. If you haven't seen how the regroup works, again, so it's an interrupt when an ally is defeated by an enemy attack. Okay, so again, we want to use these clowns as chump blockers. So we're going to use them as chump blockers as much as possible. And then with the regroup, then they get to come back into our hands. And then if we have Welcome Aboard, we get to play it again. So we can have a nice little loop. That's why we only put 2 regroups, because it is a forced interrupt, and you cannot keep that on the table. So it's there for 1 turn. You play it, and then it goes away at the end of the round. So that's very important to know for that. All right. So if you think you're going to get multiple attacks, then you can just, and it's an enemy attack. It's not just the villain. So that's what's very good about the regroup. So okay, I have 3 of my allies. I have 3 minions in front of me. Okay, I'm going to block with 3 minions. I'm going to block all 3, and all 3 of them will come back to my hand, and then I'll have them to play for next turn. So if I have another welcome aboard, I can just run that again. All right, aside from that, we're running a couple of extra cards to make sure that we can play some of these allies. So we are running a Triskelion and a Nowhere. That's just going to help us, give us a little boost so we can have exactly 5 allies in our deck. All right, aside from that, we do run the CITT. The CITT is going to be able to either, it's mostly going to be for Yondu, so he can double stuff. All right, but again, we're not going to leave Yondu naked. So Star-Lord and Yondu are each going to receive a Calms Implant, Uninspired, and a Laser Blaster. All right, so we got 3 cards going on all of these guys. So this is what we're going to do. So Star-Lord and Yondu, obviously we want to generate as much value as we can. So Star-Lord can now thwart for 4 or attack for 4. So thwart for 4, attack for 4, and then Yondu can do the same thing. He can thwart for 4 or attack for 3 with overkill and never take a consequence damage. So, and then that's why with the CITT, so we have some fun things that we can do. So wait, 4. No, actually Star-Lord can thwart for 5. Wait, 2, 3, 4. No, 4. Jesus, I can't count. Yeah, 4 and 4. Man, I definitely cannot count. All right, so Star-Lord becomes a 4/4. So obviously we're going to want to keep Star-Lord alive. Did I forget to put my first aid? Yeah, there's supposed to be a first aid in there. It's true because I only have 3 copies. So yeah, so 1 first aid for Star-Lord to keep him in play. And then finally we're just running the 3 double resources. Because again, most of what we want to be doing is going to be cheap. So we'll be able to play, the Guardian thing. We have an increase. We have a few of the Guardian allies, but unfortunately, we're only going to have Cosmo. So this is just there, nowhere to get us the extra card draw when we do get Cosmo. So hopefully, we have Cosmo and the regroup, and then just keep bringing them back over and over. So that is something. Like I said, I wanted to try something a little bit more thematic, something to see. Obviously, this strategy can work with anybody who's a Guardian. So if you want to try that type of build with anyone else, I think it's pretty solid. You're always going to have 5 allies in front of you, and then you just cycle them with the regroups and everything, and then CITT if you want to ready. But again, optional cards in this. You don't really need the CITT for this deck. You can just kill it. It doesn't really matter. But again, it's if you have some good cards, might as well use it. You can add an extra first aid. If you want to always make sure that Star-Lord is, healthy, or you can replace the what's it called there, the CITT with a armored suit to give him +2 health. So then he has 5-6 health. So then just 1 first aid is enough. So again, it's just basically how you want to build it and how fast you want to build it. This again is going to be super solid deck. It's going to be deck thinning to the maximum. Once all these cards are on the table, man, you're going to be flying with Venom either in solo or in multiplayer. You should be able to have a really, really good time with Venom in leadership with this type of build. Again, just focusing on one type of card. Are these the best decks that I made? Probably not. There's probably going to be somebody coming out with this broken deck. This is more for theme and how can we make these cards interesting, and how can we incorporate some of the cards that are brought in from his hero pack into the game. So definitely, there you go, guys. So this is it. I don't really have time because it's lunchtime and I got to go make lunch for my kids. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this, please put a little like. I always appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, it is called Beat the Game. So please subscribe. I do these videos in French. I do these videos in English. I have right now I'm slowing down a little bit because it's holidays. so I'm spending a lot more time outside with the kids. So I'm not doing more. So I'm trying to limit it to 1 or 2 videos here and there, just to keep everyone happy and just keeping everyone interested. And with the new hero pack that just came out, Venom is, he's fun to play. Like I wasn't too sure about him at the beginning. I don't think he's S tier. I saw a couple of tier lists that put him in an S tier category. I think he's fun. He's interesting. I don't think he's overly powerful. But for solo, any character that can stun and confuse on a stick is pretty solid in my book. So he's definitely an A tier hero for me. And yeah, there you go. So, but most of the heroes are A tier for me anyway. So, okay, so here we go. So that was it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this will help you play Venom in different aspects and in different ways. So, and this video will help you beat the game. See you guys on the next video. Ciao, ciao. And have yourself a great weekend. Bye-bye.